Hey guys, I'm Jose, and I got something to say. Today, we're going to be talking about the supernatural. And my last video was talking about my own experience. Today, we have a special guest. This is Vijay Woods, and he's going to be telling his experiences, and I will be interviewing about, his opinions on the supernatural, just like my last video. But I'm going to start doing with other people. This will be a reoccurring thing from now on. I'm going to be interviewing. I have a coven of witches on the roster. I have some other people with some pretty creepy experiences. So today, let's welcome Vijay Woods.
Hello, I'm Vijay Woods, and these are my stories of supernatural occurrences in my life over the years. So, I would start back in 1991 when I first moved out to my home in Damascus, Oregon. I was about 4 or 5 years old, and I had already been exposed to the outdoors, and I enjoy nature. But when I got to my place in Damascus, I felt an energy, and I can't exactly explain what it was. And it wasn't just the overwhelming beauty of the place, because like I said, I've experienced nature before. This was not it. This was something really special about this place, and I fell in love with it, and like I could sense some kind of energy. I remember telling my mom, like, man, this place feels really awesome. I really like it here. And just as a small child, of course, most small children are enthusiastic, but this was different for me. I did actually feel something. Later in the years, I didn't really have anything really particular happen other than I know one morning I discovered 3 distinct claw marks on my pillow. And I was probably at least 8, maybe 9, and I, didn't think of much of anything of it because I didn't watch scary movies. I wasn't into ghosts or demons or anything supernatural at that time. And I even thought it might have been my sister's dog, and I, called him into my room and even put his paw up to the pillow sheet and tried to compare, and it was not my sister's dog. I remember showing my mom, and my mom didn't know what to make of it, and unfortunately she just threw the pillow sheet away and completely dismissed it. But to this day, I've never really understood what that was, how there were like 3 distinct claw marks that looked like they were made by a small animal. We didn't have any indoor cats. We didn't have any kind of other animals other than the 2 dogs, my sister's boxer and a small chihuahua. And it wasn't the small chihuahua because she was old and didn't move very much. So that happened, and that was never explained. And then as I got older, it grew interest, and then I did start actually getting into the paranormal, and I did start researching. And at age 12, I got a tape recorder, and I started doing my own little recordings. I really didn't get anything then, and it was mostly just years of watching ghost movies and doing my own kind of research that I could at the library and whatever I could get my hands on, really. Later in life, though, in my older teens, I did actually get something on recording, and what I got were at least distinct voices, or in unintelligible whispers. Definitely vocal, but like the best way I could describe it would be just like just very fast and unintelligible whispers, and it scared me so much that I was a chicken, and I ended up burning the tape. Excuse me, I'll have to backtrack on that. Before I burned the tape, the reason why I burned the tape is a few weeks later, I was alone in my room, downstairs in the basement. It's like 15 steps, so I don't know how steep. It was a pretty steep basement, and I was in a middle room, and at the time, and I had gone to bed. I think it was around 9 p.m. And I woke up. I felt very, very cold, and I had chills. And at first, my first reaction, because I've been a sickly child, I was like, oh, I got fever chills. Oh, great, I probably have a fever. But my body was not shaking. When I realized and looked over, it was my bed that was shaking. And I saw my nightstand shaking. And everything just about near with where my body with my bed, my nightstand, the clock on it were vibrating. And I'm like, okay, it's an earthquake. And I panicked and I ran upstairs. My father was still awake. And I was like, Dad, I think we had a mild earthquake. And he's like, no, nothing was shaking. And so that left me really shocked because I didn't have a fever, there was no mild earthquake, but literally, like, my bed and my nightstand were vibrating. There was vibrations, and I had chills up my spine. Hence why I saw it like I had fever chills, because that was the feeling I had. But it wasn't illness, and it wasn't an earthquake. And so that was actually pretty terrifying. That was probably the most physical occurrence of a supernatural occurrence that I ever had. And hence why I ended up burning the recording I had, thinking that it had something to do with that, and leaving it at that. My last physical occurrence was when I had switched rooms and was in the further room closer to the exit door of the basement, which I don't know, for some reason it made me feel safe. It also had a lot more space and two windows instead of one window. Anyways, it was on a work night, and I decided to take a power nap, and I didn't even get in bed. I just laid on my bed, face down, head sideways, and I fell right to sleep. What seemed like only a few moments, I woke up, but I wasn't really awake, and I couldn't move. And I felt a very distinct pressure on the top of my back. Not hard, but definitely a pressure. And I was trying to wake myself up. I was trying to move, I couldn't. And over my right shoulder, I heard a deep, bellowing hello. And after that, I jumped out of my bed and I ran upstairs, and I actually slept upstairs in the living room for a few weeks after that. And then since then, I mean, years later, like, I hadn't had any kind of occurrences, and I left Damascus a long time ago. But yeah, those are my most uh, for lack of a better word, potent supernatural occurrences. So those were my last occurrences, and if anything else comes up, definitely be interesting.
So, Vijay, do you have any explanations or theories on what you're experiencing?
Well, for the bed shaking and the voices on my recorder, I have no explanation, none whatsoever. For the sleep paralysis and the voice, um, I could have been just a weird, half dream, and it just, was audible, kind of hallucination, just being very tired. But I don't know, the pressure on my back and the feeling of not being able to get up, I'm not really sure. I think the bed shaking was probably the worst because that had no explanation. I ruled that out as best as I could. No fever, no earthquake. I was not, ill at any time, but my furniture, the bed I was sleeping on, and my nightstand were vibrating.
So, if you were to have an opinion on what ghosts are, what do you think they are? Do you think they're actual apparitions of our souls, or do you think they're some other force of nature?
From what I've studied, this is, kind of uh, 50-50 on what I truly believe, but I would say that there are supernatural energies, both in human and animal. Where they go, I don't know, but I think that they do actually exist, and we are that. I do believe we're more than just tissue, and I do think there's evidence of that. So I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but yeah.
If you were to say you had an opinion on what UFOs might be, what do you think?
I believe that the universe is vast and that if there is other life on other planets, it's very possible. Or it could be as simple as that this planet is just a lot deeper than we understand it, and there could have been, forces that lived on this earth way before humans ever existed, too. Like Gaia, for example, is like the supposed spirit of the earth.
And do you believe in a god or a creator? And if so, who do you think he is, and how does he interact with the physical world?
I believe that the idea of a god or a primary entity has been around for a very, very long time, and every man, woman, and child has their own perspective of what that could be. I think personally that there is one God or one supernatural entity, and I think that supernatural entity takes on various variations. It might even take on the evil ones. I'm not really can't say for sure why that would be so, but I know that there is definitely an energy that is beyond the flesh.
Well, Vijay, thank you so much for coming in and talking about your experiences. And if you have anything else that you may have missed or you thought of, maybe something else happens in your life, please come back and we'll be happy to interview you.
All right, thank you, Jesse.
So I want to give a thanks to Vijay Woods for coming out this way and talking about his experiences. And like I said, there's a whole bunch more to come. I have just right now, I have about 4 or 5 people lined up to talk about their experiences. And let me tell you, VJ's has his experiences, other people have their experiences, and they're going to get progressively more and more crazy as we go. And hopefully down the line, we'll be able to actually do some ghost hunting or even like Sasquatch kind of like stakeouts or something like that. So depending on where the channel goes, I definitely plan on expanding where we are now, but definitely expect more content in relation to supernatural because there's a lot out there. Everyone has an experience. You guys have heard mine, and now you've heard VJ's. And it just goes to show you, there's something going on in this planet, in this universe, that we don't understand yet. But maybe, hopefully, in doing more research, we'll be able to figure out really what's going on. Who can say right now? Till then, I'm Jose, and I always got something to say.